I'm going to fly now for the next few minutes because, like Dave, I think we're going to be up to the wire at 2 o'clock on this. But anyway, we'll see. We'll do our best. I like to frame this using this timeline. Before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. There was a lot going on with digital technology before COVID. There's a lot of schools that had invested in technology, either one-to-one programs, or they had invested in learning management systems. They had either gone down the Microsoft route or the Google route, or they were using other platforms. And those schools actually came out of COVID quite nicely. They had less traumatic experiences, particularly in phase one of COVID, than maybe other schools. So I think it's worth remembering that. And then all of a sudden, on March 12th, 2020, the whole schooling face-to-face piece stopped, and we had to move to this thing called emergency remote teaching, or emergency remote learning, or instruction, whatever word you want to use. And during that, and I think it's worth remembering, it was an emergency. So it's not fully online, it's not fully blended. You didn't have control of all of the, there was a mixture of things going on where schools used online, but there was no face-to-face in many instances, or there was reduced face-to-face, there was overflow classes, there was all sorts of things that you probably wouldn't have used if you had had a choice. So this is the world that we're now coming out of, Lacuna of Day, and this emergency remote teaching, which is worth remembering, is not what we are going to be looking at once we get back into school in September. One of the biggest positives out of this whole period has been that teachers, whether they liked it or not, had to become more proficient and more knowledgeable about the technology. So teachers have invested a huge amount of time over the last 15 months learning about these tools, whether it was their Microsoft Office or their Google, or apps like Kahoot or Mentimeter, whatever it was. People have now learned what these things can do, and it has opened up a whole new world for them. And more they're adding, I like to think of that as a palette of tools, of technologies. I should stress that I don't think we should be expecting teachers to learn hundreds of these tools. Actually, learning a small number and using them wisely for teaching, learning, and assessment is far better than having a long list, because I normally share a tech wheel, which I'm not going to do today, a picture of a technology wheel. But recently, some teachers have said to me, Michael, that's very off-putting. It gives the impression that I need to know lots and lots of technologies. No, you don't. If you are on Microsoft or Google, learn how to use those tools for the teaching and learning and assessment tasks that you're engaged in. And Dave will share with you the jumpAgrade platform, which I think is wonderful and which fits along with those platforms. So it's about using the tools you have to solve problems. That's where we need to be focusing.